very common complaints homeowners make to the Better Business Bureau about residential roofing companies are poor communication and dirty job sites. Today, somewhere out there is a homeowner about to hire a roofing company to install a new roof. How will the communication be between the roofing company and the homeowner? How will the roofing company leave the job site on that final day? Hi there, welcome back to another episode of our podcast, Airing It Out with AirVent. My name is pscelsi. I host AirVent's Attic Ventilation Ask the Expert seminars offered every winter to residential roofing professionals all across North America since 1998. Leaving the job site clean and communicating well with the homeowner may, on the surface, seem to be pretty basic and expected outcomes when a homeowner does business with a roofing company. And yet, it's not always happening. To talk more about this, let's welcome to the show Joel Paskey, co-founder, along with his wife Laura, of True Works Roofing in Houston, Texas. Welcome to the podcast, Joel.
Thank you, Paul. Super happy to be there here with you. I hate that this is just on audio because people don't get a chance to see this really cool room you're in with Cowboys flag. Is that Staubach back there?
That's Don Meredith.
Whoa,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, way back, right?
Dating yourself a little there, but yeah, you were on our show, and man, you're so fun to talk to because you're so passionate about what you do, and so this is going to be a blast. Let's dive in, man.
I love it. Thank you so much, Joel. Thank you for the kind words, Joel. Thanks for mentioning your podcast, and that is how we officially met, if I may say it that way. We met when you and your wife Laura invited AirVent to be a guest on your podcast, Houston Roofer Podcast, and together we did an episode titled "What Homeowners Need to Know About Attic Ventilation." That was a blast for me too, personally. So thank you for that, and for that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, well, let's talk about, you mentioned communication and you mentioned clean job sites. I hope that anything I share can provide a little value and inspire some people to, maybe rethink something or add a little tip. But yeah, when Laura and I started the company, I already, of course, been in the industry a long time, and I knew a lot of the most common complaints. But we just looked at BBB and said, hey, what are the most common complaints for people in the roofing industry? Because that's what we want to be the absolute best at. So that was like a little strategy we kind of had starting out. And it was by far, it's poor communication and dirty job sites. So starting with the communication, I think that starts with definitely our incredible office manager, Sarah. She is here near me over here in the office. But I think having somebody who is, we don't have a secretary. All right. We have a educated office manager who answers every phone call. And there's a big difference. It's not somebody who takes a name and a number. People, when they call, they have a list of questions and they want an answer to their questions. Then Sarah knows attic ventilation, Paul. She's been through your course. She knows insurance. She knows what type of shingle we install, what type of other roofing systems we install, how to answer pretty much any question a homeowner would have. And so I think just starting it off initially like that, it really sets the tone for how their experience is going to be with our company, the level of communication that they're going to receive, the answers to the questions that they want, that they're going to get right away. And then some other, things that we do that I think are really helpful. We send appointment reminders for every single appointment. So, we book their initial inspection and then they're sent an appointment reminder for their inspection. In that reminder, it'll have a picture of the rep that's going to be there, right? And let's say it's one of our reps and he's going to be smiling and he's going to say, hey, my name is, Thad, and I love baseball or whatever. And it's just a short little bio about him. And so they feel like there's a person coming to their house, and then embedded in that message is a link to a YouTube video we've made on what to expect on your inspection. Okay. And so they can watch that, and it's 2 minutes, and it shows us like the highlights of us doing an inspection. And it specifically states that we'll be going in their attic, because we do that for every inspection, because that's part of every proper roof inspection. And on a tangent, right? I mean, we get so many deals because we go in the attic and they say, you're the only ones to do this, and to explain attic ventilation to them. So just a little plug for, what you do, how important it is, and how important it is to us as a company, and how it makes a difference. So I imagine everybody listening to this does one, but if you're not, do your attic inspections, explain the importance of attic ventilation to your clients. But so then, if it's an insurance deal, they're going to get an appointment reminder for their adjuster meeting. They're going to get a embedded YouTube video on what to expect on your adjuster meeting. For build day, they're going to get same thing, an appointment reminder. They're going to get what to expect on build day. And it'll say, hey, please have your cars removed from the driveway. There's going to be a lot of noise, give your furry friends, your dogs and cats, an extra treat that day. It's going to be loud. It's going to be tough for them, and it just gives some practical tips on kind of what to expect. And I think that like all those little things add up a lot and help a lot. And so yeah, I would think those are really important and honestly pretty easy to do. I mean, you can make a little YouTube video on what to expect on, you fill in the blank, right? And then set up appointment reminders and send those out. You can do it manually or you can automate it. There's lots of cool software you can use, to do that doesn't cost that much. And so I think those are really important things to do to constantly keep your, client in the loop. Another thing we do, our CRM has a customer portal. And so at any time, our clients can log in to that portal and they can see their contract. They can see what stage they're in the process. They can see all the correspondence that we've had with them so far is going to live there. So all their photos that were taken in Company Cam, another plug. If you're not using Company Cam, it's a must. An absolute must. It's the best piece of software out there for any contractor. And that is a powerful communication tool. It's a geotag, time-stamped, cloud-based link that you can send to your client. You enable the timeline. They're going to get updated in real time with photos. If they're at work, they'll see what we're doing. We make a cut of decking, we take a photo, we replace it, we take a photo, and they see that progress.
That's great.
That's powerful communication, and that is every contractor is going to say oh, we have integrity or whatever, right? But how do you show it? How do you that's tangible way for them to see the integrity that you have. Okay, now I can see it. I'm not just taking your word for it, basically. So I think that helps a lot. And then for clean job sites, we, love the catch-all. So just a little shout out to them. I love it. I've purchased 2 catch-alls, one of the large kits and one of the medium kits. They're very pricey. I get it. They're kind of tough to lug around. I understand. They are, take a little bit of time to set up. We get there, we have a dedicated project manager, of course, for every single job. We get there 30 minutes before the crew shows up and we set up the catch-all. It has giant banners, so it's kind of used as a marketing tool as well. It's really dramatic as far as, you drive by and you're like, wow, that's cool. That's different. But other than that, tarps just really don't work well. They're going to crush people's landscaping that they care a lot about. They're going to burn, grass in summer days in Texas for sure. They're really not going to work well to catch every nail. And, our little slogan is, we want to leave your house cleaner than we found it.
Yes.
And we have people in our reviews on our GMB, repeating that slogan. And that's the coolest thing ever. They go, they left our house cleaner than they found it. And I don't even know if we ever said that to them. That's our little slogan. But they're repeating it back in the reviews. How powerful is that?
Yes, very powerful.
Yeah. So, people care a lot about their landscaping. They spend a lot of time, they spend a lot of money. And that aside, I mean, we really sell it. Like, I look around, I go, look, you have kids, you have animals. Like, how would you feel if they were to ever like step on a nail? We are going to go to great lengths to prevent that. And it's true. I mean, it's probably my greatest fear. um, we go to really great lengths to prevent that. And I think the homeowners see that effort that we're taking to take extra care of their property and to leave it extra clean. And they really appreciate that. So, with the communication and the cleanliness, you see that a lot in our reviews, people mentioning those two things specifically. And yeah, it makes me really happy. I mean, we're not perfect at either one of them, of course, long way to go, but we definitely try really hard for both those things to excel at both those things.
This is great, Joel. Love all this sharing that you're doing. Thank you. Joel, just in case a listener isn't quite familiar with the catch-all,
Yep.
Could you just give a high-level explanation? What is the catch-all?
Sure. So catch-all, invented by fellow Dallas guy, Heath Hicks, who owns Avco, I believe, roofing. And, basically you have these poles. They have little, like a T-shaped cushion on them. The nets, they're giant nets. They have grommets. You clip the pole to the net and you extend the pole up under the soffit. And you extend it at like a 45-degree angle. So the net's going to basically cascade down. Then you have ground nets. And it's just going to really protect the landscaping and catch every nail, just much, much, much better than tarps do. So
that's great.
It also, it has holes, like it's like a mesh netting. So it's breathable, so it's double function. It's not going to burn their landscaping, but it is going to catch every nail.
Great. Thus its name, catch-all. I love it. Thank you you described it very well, Joel. Thank you.
I would just say, I mean, it is a cost and you do have to lug it around, but I mean, we get so many jobs because of it. And if you get one job, it pays for itself,
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. Joel, you mentioned Company Cam. You're now my back-to-back guest to mention Company Cam and how powerful it can be. So thank you for that. And for our listeners, there's a resource for you. And if I may, Joel, in your opinion, and maybe beyond opinion, when you were researching, you and Laura, and you saw those two top complaints to the Better Business Bureau, specific to communication, did it happen to elaborate, or do you have some insight? What was lacking in the communication? Was it timeliness, thoroughness, or all? What was it? Do you know or think?
I think it's like really sad, but I think people just don't answer their phone and don't return their text, don't return their calls, ghost them for a couple days. I mean, it is just in this day and age, like, I mean, you just don't have that luxury. I mean, if they call you and you don't answer, they're calling somebody else, and that's all there is to it. And if you've already signed a contract with them and you're doing business with them and they call you and you don't answer, I mean, they're going to be frustrated. People want immediate, like, how when you call a company and you're put on hold and you're given the runaround, I mean, it's just frustrating. If you want to provide a great client experience, somebody's got to answer the phone every time, whether you have, an office manager, a virtual assistant, a call center, handling your incoming calls. There's lots of ways to do it. But a live person who knows a good answer to their question needs to answer every time. And that's what really is going to provide for like a really good client experience, I think. But yeah, I mean, the bar is pretty low. I think people, know that in our industry. If you show up on time, if you answer your phone every time, if you show up, professional and you're educated and knowledgeable and you're honest and you do what you say, you'll really excel in this industry. You'll really stand out, and so it's just kind of it's a little sad, but I do see it changing all the time. I see like really good contractors doing really well at those things, and I think the standard is being raised constantly as we speak. With education shows like this, anybody listening to a show like this, they care, right? I mean, they're like they like are the exception for sure. So
Sure.
So they're taking time out of their day to learn and get better at their craft and what they do, and that's awesome. And that's not really the people that are probably struggling with those things, but
yes,
I think it's basic, man. Like answer your phone.
Answer your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a homeowner, I would expect that. I mean, I would please return the call. Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Joe, if you're comfortable, would you walk our listeners through the checklist that keeps the job site clean to the homeowner satisfaction? It can be at a high level. You don't have to get too deep unless you want to get real detailed, but just like the rough checklist that keeps the homeowner thinking, boy, they left this job site really nice.
Sure. Well, speaking of checklist and talking about Company Cam has an awesome feature called checklist.
Oh.
And it's checklist in general in any industry when they've been implemented in the past, where it goes wrong is when people can just at the end of it just check everything off real quick, and there's no accountability to if they actually did that or not, right? And so Company Cam has a photo checklist. So like that's how you check things off, with a geotag timestamp photo. I mean, there's no getting around that. So we implement that. So the catch-all setup, click, photo. The AC units have been covered, click. The pool has been tarred, click, et cetera, et cetera. And it goes all the way to, we have a long photo checklist like that for our project manager. It includes checking in material and other things. And then the very end of the job, final walkthrough with a magnet for any loose nails, photo, click. And then the final photo that we require in Company Cam is just a safety measure. We go into the attic and we check the water heater, of course, to make sure that that's still properly connected, because, we actually replace every component on the roof, right? As you should, but not all contractors do. They paint it or whatever, but we replace it. And so it's that jostling around. It's very common for there to not be connected properly anymore. And carbon monoxide, is a real deal. And so it's our last checklist on Company Cam. Our PM goes in, takes a photo of the water heater connected properly, click, and that's the final check for the checklist for his job for the day. And so that's kind of how we do it. So again, Company Cam,
I love that.
Good
yes. Yeah. And Joe, just to repeat from my understanding, without that photo, you cannot check that particular task off.
Exactly. Yes.
I love that.
Correct. Yes.
Is there ever an occasion, Joel, where a photo is inappropriate, or no? I mean, if it's an itemized item, it requires some kind of a documented photo.
Correct. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Great. I love that. That's another reason to try Company Cam. Yeah.
There's a lot. It's awesome.
So Joel, it's one thing to have as a company goal or standard, we're not going to leave a messy job site. My words. We're going to communicate well with the homeowner. But it's another thing to make that play out throughout the company. Would you please just share? The ownership feels this way, but how do you get the team and the on-site people, all the staff on board? How does that play out?
Yeah, that's the harder part, right? So a lot of ways. Number one, I mean, I think Laura and I spent a lot of time detailing each position in the company, creating SOPs, standard operating procedures for each position in the company. And that took us, hours a day for months. It was either last year or the year before, I don't remember, but I mean, every day we would say, okay, this is what we do first for this position, then this, then this, then this. And thinking through that whole process was really great, really powerful. It allowed us to look at, a lot of things and say, why do we do it this way? And, that seems redundant. This would be much more efficient, and think of our processes. And for each position specifically, then we use those SOPs as a training tool. We train straight down the line from it. And so that really helps. We have a team meeting every Wednesday, and we bring up any issues, anything we can do better as a team. So that helps a lot.
Sure.
To communicate as a team, we use Slack. I highly, highly, highly recommend. It's the best communication platform I've seen so far for communicating as a team. You have channels set up, and people can ask a question instead of texting me something and then, I don't answer. They text Laura something. They just can ask a question, and anybody on the team can chime in. So it makes communication a team effort, and I think it just makes it much more efficient. So I think that helps a lot. SOPs for every single position, training from the SOP so that each person knows what's expected kind of at all times for their job specifically. Team meetings, you got to have them, once a week for an hour, the exact same time. Don't start late, and make them fun, and, try to bring a lot of energy. It's just a must. We enjoy ours. That's when we read our 5-star reviews, and like the whole team will like be clapping, and like, it's just
awesome.
A lot of energy, and it's fun, and time for us to join together and have some camaraderie. And then Slack, I think, just from a practical like tech tool to communicate as a team is fantastic. So
great.
Those are a few little tips.
Yeah, thank you, Joel, so much. I really enjoyed this topic. As we sort of wind down and wrap things up, Joel, is there anything you'd like to add for our listeners, either about those top 2 complaints of the Better Business Bureau, job site messiness, poor communication, or anything at all that you would like to pass on to our listeners, please?
Oh, man. I'll plug a book, I guess, real quick.
Sure.
I guess I'll plug a couple. If they're familiar with, if anybody has not read EOS, the book Traction specifically, I think that's fantastic for like creating a system for your business to run on. Another one would be a book I just read called Profit First. And man, I wish I had read this when I first started. I'd be light years ahead of where we are now. But I think the biggest mistake so far that I've made is us trying to grow too fast. And that comes from my competitiveness and, ego, and, it sounds cool to run 10 million a year or whatever, but, what is really cool is profit. That's why we really do this. And, you can be very, you can be a $1 million or $2 million a year company and be more profitable than a 10 or 15 when run efficiently and well. And so, I think that's really important. Profit First, I would say read it for sure. It's basically the old envelope system, for your business, but they're banking accounts instead of envelopes. That's all. But you get money in from a job, certain percentage is allocated to profit, certain to owner's comp, certain to taxes, and then you're left with your operating account. And it forces you to grow at a very sustainable rate, so you can't really, get in the hole ever, and so I would just kind of plug those 2 books and say, Profit, man, that's why we do this. Traction's more EOS, and Traction, that's more for setting up systems that run your business. And, the idea is that I think we want to create companies that run very efficiently with very good systems and processes so that we can take a vacation when we want, a week off, 2 weeks off, and our company won't sink, and that the companies are very profitable. And I don't think those two things are done enough or emphasized enough. And I definitely have, we're getting better at both of those things all the time. But I would kind of plug those 2 books and say to read those and implement those. I think those are the 2 things that I would really highlight.
Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate you sharing that. And thanks for your honesty too and we're all trying to learn and improve always. And really appreciate that, Joel, so much. And thank you so much for your time today and sharing with us. Let's please keep in touch on behalf of the industry and homeowners and AirVent. Thank you so much, Joel, for being our guest.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Paul, for everything you do, and AirVent for everything you guys do. I'll say, man, you're a great guy. I love your enthusiasm, your passion. Anytime you can be that passionate about what you do, I think you just figured out life, And I remember I was walking through real quick, but me and my buddy were walking through IRE this last year, and we saw this big crowd around somebody. And sure enough, it's Paul. And you're like, now this is where the intake comes in. This is where the outtake comes. This is why Ridgevin is so amazing. Y'all had this really cool glass house with smoke in it or whatever. And it was and people were videoing you, because you're so passionate about what you do. And it was just fun. It was awesome. So you're amazing. We love your, all of our reps and everybody on our team goes through your course, so that we understand attic ventilation, and it's important. One little important thing in the process, but very important. And so, I really appreciate you, everything you do. Thanks for having me, man. I hope
thank you, Joel.
Anybody listening learned a couple little things. They can feel free to reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn or whatever, LinkedIn or Facebook. And if they have any questions, if there's any way I can ever help any contractor, I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you for the kind words. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Communicating well with homeowners about their roofing project and not leaving the job site a mess may seem like obvious action items, but according to the Better Business Bureau, they're not. Incorporate them into your standard operating procedures. Homeowners will notice, and you'll stand out. Well, that wraps up this episode. Please leave a review on YouTube or whatever platform you used to listen to this episode. Be sure to let us know if there's a topic you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Maybe you'd like to be a guest like Joel was a guest, or maybe you know someone who would make a great guest. Drop us a note on the podcast page of our website, airvent.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And please come back for more Airing It Out with AirVent. I'm Paul Pscelsi. Thanks for listening.